So where are you from originally?
Oh, Greece is so nice.
Oh, you're from Lithuania, yeah. Yeah, so you've got Lithuania and then you've got Estonia, haven't you? And then you've got the other one. I always get those mixed up. What's the other one?
Do you have like many beaches?
Whereabouts in Greece exactly are you from? I might have been there.
Lithuania. I don't know.
You're Australian! Oh my god, like, you must go surfing every day.
Yeah, okay. You are from Austria.
Did you mean Slovenia? What is your language in Lithuania? Do you speak Russian?
But your English is good, like.
Do you guys eat kangaroos?
What makes me who I am? Is it my name? Where I was born? Where I grew up? Is it where my parents were born? Is it the language I speak or the accent I speak it with? Is it the colour of my skin? How long my family has lived where they live? Is it the food I eat? The songs I sing? The stories my grandmother told me to scare me into being good? Who looks at this list and decides where I belong and who I'm meant to be?
Oh, you want to know a bit about the family? Sure. Well, my great-grandfather came over from Ireland in the 1800s. He had killed an English soldier, so he had to escape. He changed his name so he could get over here undetected. And that's why there's no record of my ancestors. We're definitely Irish though. And when our family settled in Victoria, they knew the Kellys. Yeah, they were bitter rivals. But I tell you what, my granddad had the last laugh. He was the judge at the Ned Kelly trial. And my grandmother, she was the most elegant woman. And she always wore beautiful clothes that her friends sent her from Paris. She would never wear clothes from Australia. And she was just so beautiful, so elegant. Et c'est en son honneur qu'on te fait apprendre le français.
Oh wow, are you French? I love your accent, it's so fancy.
So you're my ancestors. Can you explain the story about the family name?
Why are you asking all these questions anyway? Why do you want to know? It's just a name.
Does it matter where it came from? It's a good story. What's culture anyway? But the stories we tell each other.
$1,700. Napoleon army come to Lithuania. Big army, big army. Many soldiers, Francais, Italiavski soldiers. Beautiful boys, soldiers, dark skin, curly hairs. One soldier, one boy. Love your grand. Love your grand. Big love. Baby boy. A kapitan. Пойдем. A generation was not like now.
You know, in Greece, people still quite passionately believe in superstition. Spitting, or rather the sound of spitting, is meant to protect you against curses and especially the evil eye. They believe that beautiful people and babies are especially vulnerable to curses. My boyfriend is English, And the only Greek he speaks consists of swear words and I love you. And he's got beautiful blue-grey eyes. When she met one of my relatives, she began to praise his beautiful eyes, and she was talking to him in a language he could not understand. And then she began to spit on him.
Poza. Kaip mes norime atrodyti visuomenėje? Ar tai yra, kas mes norime būti iš tikrųjų? Jeigu galėtume išrėkti visų balsu, kas mes esame, ar tai būtų žodžiai? Ar galime sudėti į žodžius tai, kas mes esame?
Nei vėjai pučia, nei sodai ūžia, tik baltas žagarėlis kalnus blizguoja, tik baltas žagarėlis kalnus blizguoja, verkia tėvelis, senas būdamas, tu vienu sūnelį vaiskan leisdamas, tu vienu sūnelį vaiskan leisdamas, o kas man išars pilkų žemelį, o kas man pasasgi kviečia grūdelį,
I have movement in my bones, a yearning feeling that sits in my chest, pulling me towards something. I wouldn't exist if my grandparents hadn't sought a better life, transplanting their roots into subtropic soil. And if their families had stayed in their pots, my tiny splinter of this family tree would never have sprouted. But I did sprout. I unfurled my leaves and gripped the earth. A country of pain and displacement gave me the space to grow. But the blood spilled on its land has flowed there since time began, and I am driftwood on its sandy beach. My garden grew elsewhere, a home I'd never seen. Home.
The boy in the middle is who I was named after, my mother's brother. And this is my grandmother on my mother's side. She died when I was 3. From the stories, she seems like a fervently mercurial figure. Through her line, we've always had relatives living here in England, but really we're from all over. Her ambition in life is something I may not share, but I hear about it a lot in stories. When I was baptized, my grandfather bribed the priest to add his name to the list of names to be given to me. I was named after everybody on my mother's side. On my father's side, Aristea and Dimitris married for love. He died 2 decades before I was born. She died in 1992 from a brain aneurysm. She died just as my older sister was being born, while they were waiting at the hospital. And that baby was named Aristea, too. Therefore, in a way, both of us were born of grief, two sisters living partly just to remind everybody of those who've passed away.
Home. I'm told it's where the heart is. But mine or yours? My mother's heart beats 10,000 miles away, while mine thumps out its rhythm on the streets of the city where her pulse began. The sound of this city is foreign to me, and the sound of my voice is foreign to it. But, in a way, this is where my story was born, kicking and screaming into a world she would barely remember, but carry forever. My story spans continents. It stretches its arms across oceans and begs me to choose. The place I've always been,
When their son died,
or the place
my mum
I've
and
always
grandmother were staying
known.
in London. They had to take the first flight to Greece and make funeral arrangements. My grandparents never got over it. My mum told me earlier this year that my grandfather once took antidepressants. I didn't know of this. I suppose that when one digs deep, they can find many surprises. I have tried to dig deep, but all I know is that right now, the three of them are in an ossuary together. Long suffering, epigenetic aching, creeps up behind me and says, I am the accumulated pain of everyone you have ever been. I see her, but I don't see myself in her. I do not mourn. I seem to celebrate how different we are. Some researchers claim that we all carry the symptoms of our ancestors' traumas. That's called transgenerational trauma. That means that her grief, however ugly I find it, might be in the hands and fingers that we share, and that we carry each other's pain across the generations. I met one of my grandmother's relatives some years ago, and the first thing she said to me when she looked at me was, "You are the spitting image of Aristea." I shivered. Isn't that a bit wrong? I thought. It's not my name. I shouldn't be her. No, I live to remind people of the dead. But she shouldn't live in me. And yet somehow she seems to be in my nose, in my eyes, in the colour of my hair. Perhaps she saw wonder in the world too. Perhaps she also once looked at the moon and the stars and wanted them to consume her, like I childishly do, Every night there is a bright enough sky.
When people ask me where I'm from, I go silent. There's not an answer that I can give that doesn't make me feel like a fraud. Someone tried to guess where I was from and succinctly summed it up to white rich girl from the city at a stretch from Berkshire or from Surrey. I'm from Gundaroo in rural New South Wales. My parents' house was a shearing shed with an outside dunny. Every great Australian legend courses through my veins. From the soldier at Gallipoli, to the ambitious gold digger, to the convict, and the first Australian. Sometimes I meet people who came to Australia as children and I think, they're more Australian than me. And I feel shame for not being connected to my past. My grandfather was very well respected within his community, but it didn't stop people making fun of his appearance. And of course, he would just laugh it off in his jovial way. Them blokes, they're just talking rubbish. But my cousin was of an age where he just wanted to find some truth to those jokes that they would make. Yeah, but Grandad, you don't get skin that dark just from being in the sun. And that nose that you have definitely isn't Irish. Face it, you're Aboriginal. And my granddad, about 60, 62 maybe at this point, leaps out of his chair and punches my cousin in the face. And my uncles are in the corner watching, and they just let it happen. Because this is a lesson that kid needs to learn. And so a new culture is born within that vacuum. We tell ourselves the past doesn't matter, but it doesn't satisfy. And so we tell ourselves stories.
I am not French. I came from Greece at the end of the war, but couldn't deal with the racist treatment. It was not okay to be Greek, but it was okay to be French.
Go home, you wog. Get out of our country. My husband wasn't a judge in Ned Kelly's trial. He was a bus driver.
Who am I? Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I forget because I live in so many places. But can it be forgotten when I was on my grandmother's lap? And when she was singing the most beautiful song about an owl.
Sraunios du visos, miškas lyg rūta, kalnai žaliuoja, o po tuos kalnus sesulės visos, griaudžiai malonios.
Where are you from?
No, but where are you actually from?
I mean, originally.
I am so much more than where I'm from.
I love walking in the rain.
I grow roses. I paint.
I like cucumbers.
Sometimes I'm very happy, but sometimes I can cry.